Hi, I'm Nuan from StatsTalk. In this video, I'm going to provide a complete guide to the scatter plots. So first off, what is scatter plot? Scatter plot is a type of plot or mathematical diagram using Cartesian coordinates to display values for typically two variables for a set of data. The position of each dot on the horizontal and vertical axis indicates values for an individual data point. Generally, scatter plots are used to observe relationships between variables. For an example, the given scatter plot shows the relationship between selling price of a house and its size. Each dot represents a single house. Each house's horizontal position indicates that house's size in square feet, and the vertical position indicates that house's selling price in US dollars. From the plot, we can see a generally tight positive correlation between the size of a house and its selling price. We can also observe an outlier point, a house that has a much larger selling price than the others. This house appears fairly low floor area, which might warrant further investigation. Let's turn to the next issue. What do scatter plots show? When we look at scatter plot, we should be able to describe the association we see between the variables. A quick description of the association in a scatter plot should always include a description of the form, direction, and strength of the association along with the presence of any outliers. Firstly, form implies, is the association linear or nonlinear? Secondly, direction implies, is the association positive or negative? Thirdly, strength implies, does the association appear to be strong, moderately strong, or weak? And finally, outliers implies, do there appear to be any data points that are unusually far away from the general pattern? As an example, this scatter plot shows a strong, positive, linear association between the size of house and its selling price. There don't appear to be any outliers in the data. This brings us to the next question. That's what the different types of scatter plots. First, perfect positive correlation. If all the plotted points lie on a straight line rising from the lower left hand corner to the upper right hand corner, correlation is said to be perfectly positive. Second, perfect negative correlation. If all the plotted points lie on a straight line falling from the upper left hand corner to the lower right hand corner, correlation is said to be perfectly negative. Third, strong positive correlation. If the plotted points fall in a narrow band and show a rising tendency from the lower left hand corner to the upper right hand corner, it indicates the existence of high degree of positive correlation. Next, strong negative correlation. If the plotted points fall in a narrow band and show a declining tendency from the upper left hand corner to the lower right hand corner, it indicates the existence of high degree of negative correlation. Then, low positive correlation. If the plotted points are widely scattered over the diagram and show a rising tendency from the lower left hand corner to the upper right hand corner, it indicates the existence of low degree of positive correlation. After that, low negative correlation. If the plotted points are widely scattered over the diagram and show a declining tendency from the upper left hand corner to the lower right hand corner, it indicates the existence of low degree of negative correlation. Finally, no correlation. If the plotted points lie on a straight line parallel to the x-axis or y-axis or in a haphazard manner, it indicates absence of any relationship between the variables. Then let's look at the common issues when using scatter plots. First, rough measure. Scatter diagram is only a very rough measure of correlation since the exact magnitude of correlation cannot be known. To remedy this limitation, there are some precise methods such as covariance, ranks, etc. Second, overplotting. When we have lots of data points to plot, this can run into the issue of overplotting. Overplotting is the case where data points overlap to a degree where we have difficulty seeing relationships between points and variables. It can be difficult to tell how densely packed data points are when many of them are in a small area. There are a few common ways to alleviate this issue. One alternative is to sample only a subset of data points. A random selection of points should still give the general idea of the patterns in the full data. We can also change the form of the dots, adding transparency to allow for overlaps to be visible, or reducing point size so that fewer overlaps occur. As third option, we might even choose a different chart type like the heat map, where color indicates the number of points in each pin. Heat maps in this use case are also known as 2D histograms. Third, interpreting correlation as causation. This is not so much an issue with creating a scatter plot as it is an issue with its interpretation. Simply because we observe a relationship between two variables in a scatter plot, it doesn't mean that changes in one variable are responsible for changes in the other. This gives rise to the common phrase in statistics that correlation does not imply causation. It is possible that the observed relationship is driven by some third variable that affects both of the plotted variables, that the causal link is reversed, or that the pattern is simply coincidental. And that brings us to the end of our lesson 2 of regression analysis part A. Let me give you a summary of what we have been talking about over the last few minutes. So, that concludes the scatter diagram graphs, pairs of numerical data with one variable on each axis to look for a relationship between them. If the variables are correlated, the points will fall along a line or curve. And scatter plots are a useful diagnostic tool for determining association, but if such association exists, the plot may or may not suggest an underlying cause and effect mechanism. A scatter plot can never prove cause and effect. It is ultimately only the researcher who can conclude that causality actually exists. Okay, well, next time we will meet again with Carl Pearson's product movement correlation.